see.
I do not want to see an Urgot.
Neither do I.
I would like to see a Nico.
Do you want to see the Rise out of Sword, though? Because he played that in back-to-back games, and that didn't look so good either.
Let's just keep that away. Irelia banned away. One of the champions that's actually particularly good against Zoe. And
Also,
obviously Chovy.
Exactly.
Still Irelia enthusiast, as now Callista taken off the table.
Bit of a power pick there, banned away from aiming.
Nocturne now being banned away from Tarzan. And
to see
both
that
of
so
these
early.
picks are sort of champions that you don't want to see.
There we go.
If you're intending to pick Zoe, Nico, banned now by Griffin. This is 9.5B, so the hot picks is enabled. Scion now banned away.
Sort of out of nowhere against Sword. Of course, one of Sword's most played and best champions so far in the LCK since 2018 and onwards. But haven't really seen too much of it very recently. See what Afreeca Freecs have planned here as Griffin have the last ban. There are so many things available, LS. Like,
yeah,
pretty much the whole board is still up. The Jace is going to be taken away. So now, LeBlanc, Zoe, Ezreal, Lucian, things like this are still available. Lucian hasn't been doing a lot of winning recently. It was Deft that came out with the most recent one, then followed up, of course, by Rascal's top lane Lucian efforts, which didn't necessarily work so well.
Let's see what Afreeca want to do here. It looks like Keen is maybe talking about a champion for himself, but instead, Lissandra is locked in. Now, this champ is extremely vulnerable to Zoe in the mid lane, although Griffin hovering the Galio right now, able to be flexed. We did see that Chovy is willing to play it.
Yep, and Chovy actually playing it to great effect as well.
I do believe it's one of his favorite champions as well.
Well, you can understand, he does a lot of winning on it. So that would make some sense. They're going to lock in the Galio, most likely for Lehens still, but like you say, it can be flexed across the map. What does Tarzan want to take away here? Is it one of Zoe or the LeBlanc, or do they go somewhere else, not wanting to lock in a solo lane just yet? Still with some options.
Could just take an AD carry here, and that would be relatively safe. However, they're hovering Olaf.
Priority jungle. That will be going into the hands of Griffin. Now the Olaf combo with a pushing mid laner could come in because, like you say, you can punish Alessandra relatively well. She does like to play around with a mana and health pool in the early game, though, so pushing her in might be difficult. We'll see what Chovy decides to go with. Okay, Dread, that's Kindred.
Kindred locked in actually relatively quickly. They seemed very confident with that. Kindred, historically one of the counters to mid lane Galio. And so it's locked in here as Braum is currently being hovered by Afreeca.
Yeah, that's going to be their option against the heroic entrance. I guess you can just put down the Lamb's Respite and weather the storm. Makes some sense. Braum locked in. Just going to be picking up priority support here for Jelly.
Maybe Zoe is locked in here now, potentially, for Griffin.
See Chovy still having to think about it. 8 seconds to go. And Vayne being considered. Man, this would be Griffin certainly doing their research after their loss against Gen G. Viper recently played a game in solo queue where he went extraordinarily ham and smashed his opponent, but his win rate in solo queue on the Vayne is not high at all. So, see Rye smile on his face. We'll see whether he can make it work as we move into our second round of bans.
Right here, I guess this is the phase where you just target down the 80 carries.
Yeah, that you don't want to go up against, right?
That you don't want to encounter or face off. Due to the Lissandra being flexible, there's no real point to do anything else there.
Yep.
Tristana, yep, targeted away.
What would be the second one? What do you reckon? I don't think you need to ban
Siva
or
I think you
Ezreal.
do ban Lucian.
Lucian?
Yep.
Vayne has historically done okay into Lucian. You can tumble out of the way of the piercing line, things like that.
Yeah, Vayne does well against Ezreal. I mean, you don't have to ban Ezreal at all, but Lucian Braum is obviously still a lane.
Yeah, that's true. It's a scary one.
That is quite scary, so perhaps they just end up banning away Lucian here. I don't think that we would see any of the crit ADCs coming out here for Afreeca, as Lucian is finally banned away. And now what this ends up doing is that you're reduced to Ezreal as being one of the options. Ezreal is very good against Galio and Olaf, not that great against the Vayne. And with Tristana having been taken off the table, you have Caitlyn, you have Jinx, you have Corki, although that's not really that popular.
You could also run an awesome dude down towards the bottom side as well and just keep shoving the Vayne in over and over again. One of her weaknesses is wave clear, so you could just shove someone down there and Kindred can make up for your lack of ranged DPS. Could be an option, but not necessarily something that we've seen too much recently from the Afreeca Freecs.
The Zoe ban is interesting because it makes me think that the Lissandra is just intended for mid lane. Rakan now locked in here.
And that is giving away the fact that Chovy will be taking that Galio to the mid lane. Aiming, thinking about Dravening Viper's Vayne, and that is going to be a scary prospect. 10 seconds to go. He's still grinning. Not sure whether he's going to decide on that one, as if you move to Ezreal instead of Draven, that is just sounds like the most horrible decision to make ever if you're thinking about just the laning phase, but he is going to do it.
I think that the Ezreal pick is significantly worse both for the team composition but also the laning phase as well. I think the Draven could have been potentially very good here for Afreeca, and instead they're blinding Aatrox here, and that's a champion that I
are a big fan of.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, just gigantic. He just loves it, guys. There's no sarcasm there at
So
all.
Ryze beats both Lissandra and Aatrox here now. Curious to see if we'll see it
Sword?
locked in.
Okay.
Sword is not someone I think of when I think of the champion Riven.
But he's going to be playing it now, most likely. Unless he wants to take Olaf top, but I don't know whether you'd want to do that into the Aatrox.
I saw a tweet earlier. I can't remember by who. Someone mentioned Olaf, but obviously that's an extremely cheesy strategy, and it's not one that we would expect to see in competitive. So we're going to have the Riven in the top lane. I imagine that that should actually be pretty nightmare fuel for the Aatrox.
Sounds really scary.
Yeah.
Means that most of their damage is going to be physical damage. The Galio will be able to build a lot of magic, I guess, so should be okay. I do like the Ezreal for one reason and one reason only, and that is the fact that he gets out of the Rakan engage better than most other AD carries, apart from, I guess, Tristana, who can buffer a rocket jump. So I can understand the thinking from aiming, moving back to the Ezreal, but the 1v1, Vayne versus Ezreal, is Vayne every single time. Once level 6 has been hit, that final hour just means that he can't go anywhere. You can Arcane Shift all you want, she'll just run after you and you're dead.
Braum, Ezreal, Lissandra, Kindred, and Aatrox. They're going to need to weather the storm here against the Griffin team composition. It's going to be on Ezreal to really bring it home in the later stages. As on the flip side for Griffin, team composition of Riven, Olaf, Galio, Vayne, and Rakan at the very end. So they have some of the true damage on Olaf. They will have a lot of magic coming out of the Galio. Vayne obviously dealing the true damage. If this team composition gets ahead, it's very easy for them to bring the entire game home. Riven is going to be unstoppable in the side lane against the Aatrox.
I'm just looking at Dread to see what he can get done on this Kindred. It's going to be really difficult here. Afreeca versus Griffin, game number 1 right now.
How you feeling, Atlas?
I'm feeling all right. Afreeca Freecs, see how they're going to be feeling after this early game is over. Of course, you look down towards the bottom side and you think, Afreeca, everything should be fine in the earlier levels. Rakan's not going to offer too much. And the Vayne, of course, notorious for having a pretty terrible laning phase. But I'm looking elsewhere on the map, and Aatrox versus Riven sounds terrible for good old Aatrox, especially with Keen picking up the Conqueror. I wonder what he's actually got as his secondary runes.
Yeah, I'm curious as well what he's intending to pick here. And this is one of the things that I've mentioned in the past that Korea seems to be very slow to adapt on. Is the top lane meta is very up in the air right now.
Yeah. In
Korea, where not a lot of players seem to be willing to diversify their champion pools in a deep manner, as Magical Boots and Cosmic Insight are there for Aatrox. Now, with the 45% CDR, he still doesn't have the 2-charge combo in the later stages. It's off by just a hair, I believe, about a second.
Yeah.
And obviously the loss of healing on Aatrox in the later stages against the Riven inside of the split push is going to be quite a nightmare. As Chovy,
he's already taken a fair bit of damage. Yeah. So I'm just trading his health bar just a little bit. See whether Dread is going to get lucky or not. As believe scuttles haven't been marked just yet. Bottom is going to be taken here by Tarzan, and I believe that the RNG was not in Dread's favor. Feels bad. We're not going to be able to get a mark from his first scuttle, but he's looking to try and steal away a red buff, and it could be a 3-buff start already. His Sword going very aggressive. Nice knock up there. He's going to land as level 2 for Sword. He's going to mean all of the damage, but doesn't have Valor out just yet. And Keen able to trade back very nicely against the Riven.
Yeah, Sword is doing a very poor job here on the Riven. He ends up getting a nice end of a trade right there, but then loses via the auto attack right at the end. So he's made a lot of movement errors so far, especially at level 1, where he missed out on the broken wings trade and was just forced to retreat. And now he's in a very awkward position.
Well, Dread's already denied the Krug camp and has taken the enemy red buff.
Oh, man.
Now looking to come back. Infernal Chains. Oh, just off for Keen. Damn, that would have been a dead Sword.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, if that had have armed, and that was very, very close.
And Dread's off to a fantastic start himself. Now, Tarzan did clear his entire right-hand side jungle. He is going to get access to these rubber band camps inside of the Raptors and the Krugs. So
Able to wait long enough to get a mark as well on that, that Rift Scuttler is really great news.
Minimap lit up right now.
All right.
Never really quite understood that feature at all, to be honest.
What do you mean? The black sheep wall?
Yeah, when they light up the entire map, because you can see everything as it is.
I think it's for, like, checking out buffs and stuff like that. Like,
yeah?
Having a look at camps on the map.
Okay.
That's a good way of doing it. Otherwise, they're just empty because you don't have vision on them. Sometimes you just need the extra aesthetics.
All right. I like
that. You can't exactly visualize it every single time. So I'd like to, get God mode vision, have a look at the Krugs to really talk about, whether you need to pick up that rubber band if you can. Sometimes that's important.
You know what is important is that Tarzan is moving in now. He's utilizing the priority that Chovy has granted him in the mid lane.
Level disadvantage, though. Tarzan does get a ward over. Notices that there's no red buff here.
Oh, he's not going to bother trying to go for a smite steal onto the big Krug. Instead, he's going to move up immediately to the raise. He shouldn't... well, actually, I guess because Kindred's in such close proximity, it wouldn't be the end of the world to consume all of the Raptors, but ends up leaving one.
Look at all of this vision bottom side of the map. You can tell where Griffin want to be playing.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Oh, Dread with the face check. He's going to get the Scry's Bloom off, but there is no ultimate available. He wants to get to this wall. Will flash. Actually hops over as Chovy flashes in. That's the Colossal Smash. And first blood goes to Griffin.
I don't know what Dread was just looking at, as he must have known that a giant gargoyle was coming.
There was definitely going to be a flash to follow there. His Sword, one auto, and that is going to be that. Keen, the solo kill, top side of the map.
Good God.
Aatrox,
all right, well,
why is Aatrox a good champion, LS? I'm just confused.
Stop.
Why is he such a good champion?
Sword Riven looks like it belongs in Europe or something. I'm not quite sure.
Oh my goodness.
Where we're going with that. They don't play it in LEC, right? Only in NA?
Yeah, they play it more in NA, pretty sure.
All right, well, we're taking another quick look at the replay. Yeah, they know that Galio's coming. Dread even saw Chovy and elected not to flash.
That's a yikes.
Which is so surprising. And then right here, Sword coming for a control ward. Now, the weird thing is that Sword's going to place the control ward at the exact time that Dread is killed. So the ward serves no purpose in the immediate future. Dread will not be pathing up to that brush anytime soon. And there's no reason to struggle trying to maintain priority to make sure that Keen can't just run over and kill it. So it just makes absolutely no sense in the... I don't know. M. Night Shyamalan, okay?
Yeah, well, I mean, what it did was got Sword killed.
Okay.
That's what happened.
All right.
That's what he got for it.
Okay. Break it down for me a little bit more.
You guys can figure out whether or not that is a good or a bad thing. I personally think that's probably in the cons column.
All right.
As,
I like that.
Sword might need to play a little bit more carefully here, or maybe demand Tarzan's attention towards the top side. We know that a Riven that hasn't got herself ahead is not going to be doing too much. Dem's going to push aiming back here. Jelly's Unbreakable keeps him very safe, though. Okay, guys. Looking for the dive. Sun can just put the claw right through the wall. Is going to get the nice double snare, and Viper, not long for the world, will be taken down.
That was a really clean roam there by Sun. Dread also picking off the blue buff, and so this is going to be a blueless Galio here in mid lane.
And that's a second buff to come in from Dread as well. I think he's had 75% of the buffs on the map so far for the Afreeca Freecs. This Kindred performance has been one of our best that we've seen so far. The LCK, she's been a champion that hasn't found a lot of form. I believe that Score is probably the most notable Kindred player that we have, but him and Umpty, I guess, have both had good performances, but she's very hit or miss, just because you need to have so much control of the jungle in order to be relevant. But Sun, you can see, just beautiful play.
Yeah, very clean. There was really nothing that Griffin was likely going to be able to do right there from that position. And so, I mean, already here we're at 8 minutes and a 1.1k gold lead for Afreeca, and everything is just going very clean for them.
And look at the top lane. I mean, this is what we do. This is the way that you break down Afreeca Freecs. How is Keen? Is Keen all right? Is he having a good time?
Yeah.
And he certainly is. Sun is certainly not. That's the quickness to come in as well, and that is the last axe, and Tarzan picks up the kill against Sun in the mid lane.
That was a really important kill there that they just picked up in mid. Chovy going to be able to most likely convert this into a plate capture here, as Sun does not have the teleport available. I don't think that there's any incentive to recall either, because you don't know where Kindred is. They have an idea of where Kindred can be due to the camps that have respawn. Chovy picks up the plate, maybe going to end up going for a recall here, or he's looking for a hero's entrance down in bottom potentially.
Yeah, 4 members down here. Rift Scuttler is going to go down first. Scuttle Rivers hits the death chamber as the Mountain Drake cops an axe to the face, but isn't going to be started just yet. Sword Valor's out of the way of that one, but he's just going to bite even more damage. Keeney's having a great time on the top side of the map. Things don't seem to be getting better here for Sword.
It's a very peculiar way that the whole top lane is transpiring right now, as Keen is up almost 25 CS.
And hasn't been back.
Yeah.
So, teleport just used by Sword to get himself back topside. Keen can go back home, get a bunch of items almost towards his Black Cleaver, and can then teleport towards this Drake if he wants to, but identifies the fact that he doesn't need to. And the Afreeca Freecs will grab themselves a free mountain and continue dominating over this map, especially on the top side.
Clown Drake will be the second one that is rolled here in the game, and the Mountain Drake is definitely going to be extremely helpful for taking the Baron in the later stages of the game, but also with the Aatrox having the lead that he does, certainly going to help get some turret plates while they still remain.
Absolutely. I'm going to check out this one once again. That was the very tip of the Undertow that finishes off Sun. Afreeca Freecs still feel like they're in so much more control than we'd ever have expected from the Griffin versus Afreeca matchup. If you guys remember back to Afreeca versus Griffin the first time around, it looked very different to this.
Yes. And right now, if you are Griffin, it's not the best feeling in the world. It's looking like this is going to come down to another song and a dance of, can Griffin team fight their way out of a deficit or out of a bad situation? And right now, with where the leads are accrued for Afreeca, it's where you want the gold.
Yeah.
You have it inside of the Aatrox, you have it on the Ezreal. He already has the Iceborne Gauntlet. And the Lissandra having the assist is probably the best thing for her, as her entire role inside of the teamfight is just to isolate the Riven or the Vayne.
Whoever's causing the most ruckus,
yeah,
Sun can just get rid of them. QSS will be coming in for Viper relatively quickly, but I don't know whether Sword could fit it in and still do damage in any timely manner. Will still want it by the end of the game. As you can see, Sword has gone for the most CDR possible, picking up the Kindle Gem as well as his Caulfield's Warhammer. So at least he'll be dashing around and getting those knockups effectively, but Keen's already got a Black Cleaver, he's got his free ass boots, he's having a great time. On the Aatrox, topside certainly not working out for Griffin. Can they make things work elsewhere though? Because the thing that we talk about for Sword is part of the reason why Griffin was so good at coming back in these teamfights late game is because often you've got Sword on something like a Scion. something that can
Yeah.
just weather a laning phase, not care about it, and then team fight really well in the late. Well, Griffin can team fight sometimes, but she's no
man.
Scion, as the Afreeca Freecs have started off Shelly. Sun standing on top of a ward. Don't know whether he actually knows that, as they are trying to get Tarzan in there. They will be able to take down the Rift Herald, as now Keen's just dancing around in the middle of this fight. Really great quickness to come in from Lahans, as the team fight's looking good for Griffin, but Keen is so big on the backline. Lamb's Respite will buy some time, as Dread is just going to get shot with the ultimate from Sword. And Afreeca Freecs are going to continue trying to win this fight. Viper dancing around the backside, but Tarzan can't re-enter. Sword also struggling to re-enter this fight, as Keen is just tearing apart this Griffin lineup. Great slowdown. That's going to be another one. A double kill for Keen. And the Aatrox is well and truly fed.
Yeah, the Aatrox is absolutely massive right now. Oh, Sword.
Oh my goodness, I've seen this one before. This is not one of the laning phase moves,
Oh!
as in he goes. That's the slam dunk. See you later, Riven.
All right,
Oh
well,
my goodness.
I think
The
we know
King
who's
show
getting
started
MVP
early.
this game.
Yeah.
As all these plates are going into Aiming's Ezreal. Looks like Sun is going to be here to pick up the very last plate that would have been available, as the Rift Herald is about to go down here. But Afreeca, they're in a massive advantage right now.
And it's only going to get worse, because
Yeah.
look at how huge this Aatrox is going to be.
So right here, Chovy and Lahens getting all these taunts. It looked like everything was going to be okay, but Keen just dishing out so much damage. Lamb's Respite right there inside of this fight. It's so problematic for the way that Griffin's team composition actually wants to fight if Viper isn't there from the get-go. Viper gets tagged by Braum inside of the fight, and then inevitably brought down by the Aatrox and the Ezreal. Sun manages to make it out over the side, pick back up the Rift Herald, and then Sword being greedy for no reason. Where are you going? Are you going to eat golems? Are you going to top lane to get a wave that doesn't really matter? Because you know that Keen's heading there too. And,
Not entirely sure.
I got him. Nice.
The classic. This is what we like to see in our mic checks. Got him. And
Afreeca.
nice. We got another fight breaking out here. Claw not going to be taken. Afreeca Freecs now just waiting for this Cloud Drake to pop up. Would have probably liked something a little bit better, but we'll be happy to take down their second Drake of the game.
Shelly hops over the edge. Interestingly enough, Chovy does have a level lead here over Sun.
So roaming a little bit more maybe. As Keen, you can see he finished off. Ninja Tabi creates himself a Warhammer of his own, and that's a pickaxe. Also, yeah, Sword, you don't want to enter that lane. Just don't go in. Bad move. Keen's going to be able to take down the first turret, and he's only going to get bigger from here. We'll see whether this is going to be enough bad guys in order to take him down already. It's a pretty decent start here for Sword. Good knock-up as the World Ender is going to be utilized. Keen should get taken down into that passive. Unable to do quite enough damage just yet in order to win a 1 versus 3.
Whoa.
And he's going to be overextended and taken down with a Wind Slash.
Bounties are a really cool thing, Atlas.
Absolutely.
I just want to let you know about that.
Especially if you're on the team that's behind.
Yes.
Not so much if you're winning. Actually feels real bad.
That feels absolutely terrible right now if you are Afreeca. And you have to wonder why Keen is pushing as far up as he is. Obviously, Griffin not really caring about the Cloud Drake. It doesn't really change that much inside of the game right now, and so making quick advantage of the fact that Keen was overextended, they managed to pick up the kill onto him, and the gold all goes inside of Sword.
Yeah, actually, look, I don't mind because they were able to grab 2 turrets for it, 3 turrets, I guess, if you include the top lane outer, so picking up objectives just for the 1 death, but with the bounties there, makes it harder to justify throwing away your life, especially when you're giving gold over to Sword, like you mentioned. Death's Dance now completed for Keen to make up for his loss of healing on the passive ability. He's, yeah, as you can see, kills minions pretty easily, but champions, I feel, will go down relatively similarly. He did that to them.
Griffin has almost caught back up now inside of the CS department.
Yeah, 3,000 gold is going to be the lead. A lot of that comes down to turret plates and turrets themselves. 3-1 is going to be that scoreline, and there were more turret plates, I believe, that came in for Afreeca anyway.
And so what's going to happen right here is that Griffin, they're down almost 4,000 gold. There's not a true neutral objective up and available. If they were to contest the Clown Drake, it would be a pretty poor decision because you give away the Cloud Drake and it doesn't matter because you're on the defensive anyway.
Yep.
Your team is fighting in an explosive manner inside of a small condensed area. That's the way that Griffin's team composition wants to operate. It's also how Afreeca wants to fight anyway, so a Cloud Drake isn't the most valuable dragon to capture. You want to be farming in front of your tier 2 turrets at this point. You're using defensive Galio ultimates. You're waiting for the Riven to get online. You're waiting for Galio to get to his second core item, Vayne to get to her second core item. So there's no reason to rush the game at this point.
Yeah, I think the only champion that really benefits from a Cloud Drake is Chovy on the Galio.
Yeah.
Because Sword's just going to be dashing around with all of his abilities. I mean, Lahen's going to have a lot of movement speed as well. As you can see, able to get out of the potential engagement with the Afreeca Freecs just there. Now Dread looking to try and steal this one away. Not going to be able to. That would have been a mark, and that was denied there by Tarzan, as you can see. Griffin still massive tempo disadvantage and map control disadvantage, which is just a huge deal for any Kindred composition. It means so much more when you have her on your comp because you can get in and actually counter jungle those marks to get yourself up to that 700 potential range for the Kindred. Will mean that Afreeca Freecs are going to be able to team fight from safety much easier. I feel like it's even more relevant against this Griffin comp, given what they have and the short radius of no-go zone against the Riven, most importantly.
Right now, the tier 2 boots actually completed extremely early on Aiming's Ezreal, which I do think is a little bit bizarre because it's unlikely that any team fights are going to break out within the next couple of minutes, so would expect that you just want to continue ramping into items while you sit on the boots, as Griffin's going to be forced to come into them at either the next Mountain Drake or the Baron, inevitably.
I don't think it matters.
Laners, yeah.
It's hard for it to matter when he's 2.6 thousand gold ahead. My goodness.
You know, like,
it just takes a bit, doesn't it? It takes a bit to impress
yeah.
the old LS. He's got a casual QSS. That QSS and the boots too are actually, you know, for free if he's going to have the same amount of money as Viper. So no harm, no foul. Viper's still building towards a Ginsu's Rage Blade if he can find one. The Vayne did manage to get one kill. He's now just trying to farm as safely as possible. Chovy and Tarzan are around here, but see, Dread should be able to get himself a mark. This one, easy peasy.
4 marks right now on the Kindred. And when you're Griffin, your team composition has ended up being diminished to a team fighting thing as
Kane dodges out of the way of the entrance there, the grand entrance coming in from Lahen's, but he will go down to his passive in the World Ender, buys time for Sun to turn up, so they're not going to be able to get the kill, but they get the passive out of the Aatrox. Afreeca, in the meantime, are going to be sieging here on this bottom side, and there looks to be nothing that Griffin can do. So Inner Turret is going to be taken there in trade, I guess, for Keen's ultimate.
Very peculiar type of map movements here coming out from Griffin. They end up giving up the bottom tier 2 turret. Yes, they get the World Ender out of Keen, but it's almost halfway to being back up already, so
yeah,
not the greatest of situations if you are Griffin.
45% CDR is completed now.
Yes.
On the Aatrox, so scary times for anyone up against him. He's just going to be able to dance around as many times as he wants. Great tumble there from Viper, get himself out of harm's way when it comes to the True Shot Barrage. That hurts a fair bit, actually, with the Sork boots already completed.
And at this point, Aatrox is still, I think, a little bit too far ahead of the Riven. She can't go up against him just yet inside of the isolated 1v1, although she does almost have the Death Dance completed for herself.
Yeah, that's going to be the option that Sword's going to be going towards. I do like the idea of going for Spear of Sojourn on the Riven, but I guess your cooldowns are so low that you don't get that much value from it anyway. Just get a little bit of that. A few different schools of thought when it comes to Riven builds.
They're really looking to try to punish Keen's over-aggression with pushing the lanes up and top. And these are the games where it's most interesting, where the lane freezes that we talked about in a previous cast aren't utilized by either the winning team or the losing team. And so we end up getting these lull states where everyone just approaches waves, send it right back into each other, and you get this endless bounce.
It's the ping pong.
Yeah, and the problem with the ping pong is because of the way that the Fog of War works and the control around the jungle for the losing team, you can end up losing camps that you otherwise shouldn't be able to lose. And thus the gold gap can continue to increase ever so slightly.
Yep, or you could just lose into turrets as well, as Griffin did. Dread's just going to continue to have the best time ever on a Kindred. It's really not being challenged whatsoever. A lot of this onus does need to be on Tarzan. Hasn't been able to get too much done in the early game. 2 series in a row now. That was one of the big criticisms of Griffin, was the Zac versus Xin matchup, where Tarzan was on the Xin Zhao. He was unable to put any pressure forward. This has happened once again, but Dread, I guess, is on the Kindred. Range advantage there over the Olaf. But he's had a really rough time.
Black Cleaver on the Kindred as well, just trying to provide amplification for the Aatrox and the Ezreal.
They'll have that one stacked pretty damn quickly. 2 of them already completed.
It's important to note that Ezreal has opted out of the double tier build, which is then even more surprising that he elected for the Sork Pen boots.
Yeah.
Right, it doesn't really make all that much sense. The Sork boots are, if you're going to have the high AP ratios and your abilities
Yeah, you want to go Gunblade, right?
Right, the magic damage, Gunblade and whatnot. And so for him to have Blade of the Ruined King, there's not any tanks present on the side of Griffin either.
Well, 3 members of Griffin up here trying to escape from the Afreeca Freecs. They will be able to, as Afreeca did not know that there were a couple of extra members up here. Griffin going to be going back, Sword. We'll see whether he can buy any more items here. Stopwatch is completed. That's going to be important. Next team fight going to be a huge one for both teams. Could mean Baron for Afreeca or a way back in for Griffin. As the Brown back chose a pretty good time to reset if you're a Griffin fan.
I do wonder if the tipping point is actually near for the Aatrox and the Riven, as Tarzan is forced to...
Oh, wow. That was very, very close. The Sun almost stuns Lehens out of his grand entrance. Doesn't do so, is now Afreeca looking to try and continue having all of the vision. Stand behind me. Dread's able to hop over there with the Dance of Arrows. Lehens is in position. Doesn't have the spellbook or anything like that. Tarzan without his smite for the moment as Lehens trying to blast cone his way to safety. Should have his cooldowns back up relatively soon, as the Baron has been stopped for the moment. Winds of War softening Afreeca even further.
Very sloppy Baron attempt so far here by Afreeca. They have double Mountain with the Kindred, the Lamb's Respite as well. Very easy, I would imagine, to bait Griffin into coming into the pit, using the Galio ultimate. And then even if you go 1-for-1 with Kindred's ultimate having to be utilized, you're still winning out.
Yeah.
Because Griffin's commitment to the fight must be greater, and it's almost unimaginable to assume that they could go even inside of trades.
Very strange. Very strange. However, it is going to be Lehens living and also distracting them enough to stop the Baron. Good news story if you're a Griffin fan, but there aren't too many of those so far here today. 5,000 gold is exactly the lead for the Afreeca Freecs. Could we be doing it again? I mean, Gen G, they did it a couple of days ago, and Afreeca have felt emboldened by that. This Ang Griffin is more like Tilt Griffin. We're going to talk about it.
Griffin's taking a quick pit stop. Taking a quick...
Yeah, having a breather.
Yeah,
having a breather before the gauntlet. Yeah. Want to keep things competitive.
They're getting everyone false confidence, false security.
Yep. Preying on the tears of SKT fans.
This is the long.
Yeah, got it.
Kindred, nice champion.
Yep.
That's a very pretty skin. You know, that's my favorite Kindred skin.
That's my favorite Kindred skin too. Although Super Galaxy is really cool, I just like that one the most. I'm a giant Ori and the Blind Forest fan.
What?
Ori and the Blind Forest? You not play that game?
No.
Oh, it's on Steam.
What's it about?
Just play it.
Okay.
It's so beautiful. It's a platformer, and it's just feels really good. You know when you play a platform game, you want to be able to like move fluidly throughout the world. You're gonna have to hold that thought, as that is a gigantic 3-man taunt from Chovy. Lamb's Respite does go down though, and Viper's gonna make his way into this fight. Dread is able to hop his way out, but leaves them at a man disadvantage. Their Sun's gonna be taken down, and Griffin, have they done it again? Have they found the team fight? It looks like the answer's yes.
Keen's being held and contained down in bottom lane, and he is so much of his team's gold.
Yep, there's only 2 kills on the rest of Afreeca Freecs.
Right. And so Griffin, they managed to find a Hail Mary here. Not sure what Afreeca's doing, venturing into the forest, but Chovy very quick to clap them inside of this fight. Viper arrives at the exact moment that they would need him to, and aiming, trying to dish out damage and look for a pick anywhere he could, but not able to find one as Griffin.
Just no vision available as well around that area. Afreeca just caught with their pants down a little bit. Chovy in with a beautiful flash taunt. He's going to seal the deal. Also, I want to point out his heroic entrance was timed just at the end of the Lamb's Respite, so all of the members of the Afreeca Freecs that wanted to get that heal were just knocked up, and then pretty quickly, we're dead. Infernal Drake, though, going to be taken by the Afreeca Freecs. 4 dragons to 0 in their favor.
For Kindred off the consumption of that dragon.
Dang.
It's quite nice.
That is real nice.
Quite a valuable Drake, so we can only imagine what it's giving the Aatrox, the Lissandra, and the Ezreal in terms of value. So gold score at the top is not the only thing that is now problematic for Griffin.
And also looking at that last team fight, it's not really the state of the game at the moment. Yes, Griffin were able to win, but they weren't able to actually take anything off the back of it. It was more of a respite victory rather than anything else, and that means that next time Afreeca Freecs can think about what they're doing and maybe bring their Aatrox to the next party. If you don't invite him, you're just not going to have a good time.
So now the Riven is at level 16, has the Executioner's Calling, has all of the CDR herself. And so I'm not extremely familiar inside of the matchup. Riven is not really that popular of a champion on Korea, even though she has been getting picked lately.
More and more.
So I am curious about the tipping point here inside of the matchup. I would imagine that it's been reached. But Afreeca, they're starting up the Baron. That thing goes down so quick.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the double Mountain Drake certainly helping. That is free Baron, like you say. All too easy here for the Afreeca Freecs. Now at 29 minutes into the game, they're looking just to push up some of these lanes and break open the base. Griffin, consolation prize, outer turret bottom lane. Is a pretty sad story here at this particular stage. 7-7 in kills does not tell the story.
And very fortunate Afreeca had the 2 cheater dragons, able to significantly improve the speed at which they can eat the Drake. Some pro players lately have been a little bit vocal about how Mountain Drake can change the dynamic of certain games and what type of rotations and options become available.
I do really like Mountain Drake for that exact reason, though. Yes. Purely because it is really, really good in certain situations and completely useless in others.
Right. I like the fact that if you are behind, it actually is doing nothing. Yeah. Literally nothing for you.
Whereas the win more Drake.
Right. Clown and Open Drake, they're still at least doing something if you're behind to a certain extent. Mountain really requires you to be on top of things, at least to a certain extent. Yes, it might open up some very cheesy captures of objectives. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But you still have to be in a position where the cheese is at least possible, and that was a trade-off, I guess, in order for you to get into that spot in the first place. So, Griffin, here we are in this game. They're down about 6,000 gold. They're going to need a miracle team fight, which is something that they've become known for in the LCK.
And they also have champions that can make those sort of plays happen as well. Sun is going to go a little bit aggressive. Aftershock keeps him alive, though, as True Shot Barrage does soften up both Chovy and Lehens. This could buy Afreeca Freecs an opportunity to take down an inhibitor turret, and it does. Man, that's not takedown. That was evaporated. That thing just died instantly.
Man, here we
now
go.
Griffin, they're looking for that Hail Mary like you were talking about. Sword moves completely over vision. He's on a control ward. They're trying to look for this flank. The Riven is just getting ran around. This will buy some time off the Baron as he hops himself over the wall, and chasing a Riven is a very confusing prospect. Not sure what you're doing there, Afreeca. Just go and take another inhibitor, maybe. That could have been an idea, as Kane does get a knockup.
And so Sword actually bought quite a bit of time.
Yeah. The old teleport in and look tasty quickly, buy us some time. 1 minute on the clock as Chovy charges up the taunt, does have the flash available, so they need to respect it. Afreeca to move away. Under half health though for this inhibitor turret. Damage has been done top side of the map. Keen wanting to stop any of these pesky flanks, and he's going to find Lehens once again. He's just going to say, oh, it's my turn.
Uh-oh.
To do the funny play. Infernal Chain's not going to land. Here's entrance. A little bit faster now, 9.5. Feels pretty good. But inhibitor turret does fall down. Afreeca Freecs not going to take their eye off the ball this time. They will be able to take their second inhibitor. Is it happening? 2 series in a row. Our bottom 4 teams seem to be the kryptonite for Griffin this week.
This is very peculiar to be witnessing here. Game number 1, Afreeca versus Griffin. And another thing that I gotta say is that in this game, a lot did go Afreeca's way, the way that they needed.
Yeah.
And so they were able to capitalize on getting ahead. Keen did Keen things.
Yep.
In the matchup where we said this is where they most likely could find the most success because it is the largest disparity between roles when these two teams collide. That's going to be a third Mountain Drake. Now, third Mountain Drake, it's really nice, but Griffin doesn't have any objectives up anymore. So...
Oh, it'll help them kill the Nexus faster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
And if you were watching Fnatic versus G2, you know that that's actually a relevant stat.
Why would you do that? Why would you...
Hey, it was an exciting game.
Huh?
It was an exciting game. Okay. Griffin trying to defend their last remaining inhibitor turret. They're not going to be able to. It's going to go down very quickly. You can see that nerf to the W not quite in yet on the Ezreal, so he's able to pop these inhibitors for a lot of damage. As he lands it, Justice Punch to get Chovy out of harm's way, and Griffin just circling the drain at the moment with double stun there as Dread's going to get knocked up, but he does create a safe distance here. Dance of Arrows comes forward. There's the Lamb's Respite. Keeps him alive for a very long time. Hero's entrance, good timing there as they slam dunk the Braum. Afreeca are just getting melted, but Sword's going to get taken. No, he's not! The Valor Shield is in, and he's just baited them for so incredibly long. Finally goes down, but the damage is honestly being done. Oh my goodness.
Aiming.
The Winions. The Winions, and we've got Keen still alive as well. Lehens is going to bite the bullet there on the True Shot Barrage. And R2 members enough to just straight up win the game here for the Afreeca Freecs.
Keen is...
Not so much.
Yeah. Keen's going to have to leave there. Doesn't have an ability to heal up off of minions anymore, so... Unfortunately. Yeah, he does have the Death Stance. He heals up a little bit. And right here, Sword actually did a really good job getting Dread extremely low, demanding that he cast that ultimate. Sun being zoned off very far on the left-hand side. Lehens comes in there, tags Dread really quickly, ends up getting the kill onto him. Sun makes a sacrifice right at the very end there, as it was a full-on retreat for Afreeca, and then aiming True Shot Barrage.
That'll do it.
Able to bring down Lehens, but Griffin, yet again, they hang on via superior team fighting.
And now, all 3 inhibitors down. Baron hasn't been taken just yet, but you have a feeling that Afreeca will take it soon. A lot of minions now streaming into the Griffin base, a lot more money available to be taken.
You know, I've heard that Triple Mountain Drake is...
Kills Baron pretty fast?
You know, I've heard rumors.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
I could imagine that some people may not have seen it.
No?
Because, you know, you blink and you miss it, my friend. That Baron did not last very long whatsoever. Sword is thinking about an engagement there with Bash Brothers waiting alongside. Lehens and Tarzan not seen here in this brush.
Oh, Viper trying his best to wave clear the minions here in top lane. And this is going to be an extremely difficult 8v5 here for Griffin to fight their way out of.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, Baron up super minions hit so damn hard and so damn fast. And the Afreeca Freecs just have way more money. 7,000 gold lead at this point in time as Griffin are just doing their very best to hold on to these Nexus turrets, but with all 3 inhibitors once again dead, True Shot Barrage is being thrown out for fun, and no more minions remaining. This will be an open Nexus, and this will be Griffin's 3rd game loss in a row, and a Game 1 loss to the Afreeca Freecs of all teams.
Hold on, it's not over yet.
Not quite. Chovy looking to make his way forward. That's going to be the ult onto Sword. Not exactly the greatest target now as Viper. He's going to get challenged by Keen. The Condemn is fantastic. Infernal Chains, not quite enough as he goes down into the World Ender. It's a 1-for-1 so far as Sun does go down and aiming's just tearing apart this Griffin roster. It's an open Nexus and it should be a Game 1 victory for the Afreeca Freecs. Lamb's Respite guarantees it. And Afreeca, that is a beautiful game number 1 and a very unexpected win. Griffin, what has happened this week?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. The camera zooming on Keen right now obviously has to be the MVP of the match, as he just did phenomenal on the Aatrox. Sword, let's leave Riven to North America, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, let's leave Riven to Khan. I think Khan can play it.
Okay.
We'll let Khan play it. He looked pretty damn good in a couple of games in a row.
This is one of the things that I'm beginning to ponder about Griffin is their drafts are so horrid consistently throughout 2019.
Doesn't mean that they're trying to handicap themselves to give themselves a bigger challenge going into the playoffs.
What I'm thinking is that they're being misled due to their superiority as a team and their ability to out-team fight in certain situations, to where they're believing that these atrocious champions are actually somehow worthwhile in certain spots. And it's just so bizarre to watch them handicap themselves in games where game states hit these points where it becomes such a struggle for them to fight their way out of. They do it because they're great. And obviously, when they get advantages, they look stellar at driving everything home. But, I mean, I'm not going to blame this game on the draft itself. It certainly just didn't help, though.
No.
Sword didn't look like he knows how to pilot Riven. It was very apparent just by even watching level 1 and 2. And then Chovy on the Galio. I mean, Kindred was shown face up. You still put the Galio in mid lane.
There are a lot of really
going
interesting decisions that were made here, because I think that you bring up a really key one in the fact that Kindred was picked up as the second pick for the Afreeca Freecs. So then, what do you think you do at that point in time?
Allocate Galio to support?
And allocate him to support, because then you need to get lane priority in as many lanes as possible, right? You're against a Kindred, don't let her in our jungle. That is rule number 1, and then she's basically useless transitioning out of the mid game, right? Because you have control, and then you can play around that.
And the other thing is, Lissandra was picked early on by Afreeca as well. You have the option to take Zoe for Chovy. You also have the option to take Ryze, which then can be flexed if they want to do something else tricky. Ryze will manhandle a lot of the top meta champions right now. Eats Lissandra in mid. Very easy to get priority. It's just really bizarre to watch such a slow adaptation to draft phase. And I don't know, Atlas.
Yeah, there are a lot of question marks. We'll see whether we have those questions answered, because thank goodness it is a best of 3 Afreeca versus Griffin. We'll be going into game number 2, and we'll see whether Afreeca Freecs are going to be able to pull their best Gen G and take down Griffin 2-0 after the break. Just an insane thing to think about, but it might actually happen. Griffin keep drafting like this, man. It could be a real problem, but we'll see you after the break.